Hello, in this video we will make an automation to go to a profile on LinkedIn, send them a connection request and scrape some data about them. So this video I will also create the TaskBot, the automation together with you. So you get more insight about how to create the selectors, how to make the automation, how to work with ZeroWork. But if you're not interested in the technicality, you can just skip towards the end of the video or just get the TaskBot down below in the comments. This is the first time I will create an automation like this on LinkedIn. So I'm very happy to share my way of working, my way of finding selectors, my way of making things robustly. I'm not sure how long this video will take, but let's get started. So the first thing you can do, if you not have a ZeroWork account already, you can take the link in the description. It's an affiliate link. It would really help the channel out to make me more videos. And you can start your free trial with ZeroWork. After you created an account, you should install the agent. It will be running on your computer, the ZeroWork agent. And then you can create a new TaskBot and you're ready to go. So the first thing we actually want to do is to connect our LinkedIn account. So if you had not have seen any of my previous videos, you can install the cookie editor. And with the cookie editor, you can export your cookies as JSON and you can upload them to the TaskBot. That way, your TaskBot is already logged in to the LinkedIn account. I will also put a link down below for the cookie editor. So now this is done. The second thing we want to do, we just want to start with opening LinkedIn. So I will just copy the base URL. I will paste it here. So now we will open LinkedIn. Now what we also want to do is we want to have a table with profiles. If you didn't see my previous video, there I made an example about how to scrape LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I have it here in Excel. So what I want to do, I want to recreate this table so I can then use the data from the table to loop over it. So I will add a new table. I will create a ZeroWork table. You could also connect it to a Google Sheet, but for simplicity, LinkedIn URLs, for example, I want to put the columns that I also have from here. So I have the information and later we can add some more columns, for example, to add some profile date or to say that we send the connection request already. I'm not 100% sure how this automation will go or what we will create, but this is just the first thing to do. It's a bit the layout. So I will just, maybe let's not do the maybe let's do the company and the company URL also. It's good to have a lot of information, especially if we later want to make an automation to also send them messages, then we can personalize it with AI. Now I will import the data. I have it here, pop, and let's see, we have all the data inside now. So now we here have all the LinkedIn URLs and we can loop over them. So this is also the first thing we want to do. We just want to loop over the profiles. So what I will do here is I will say hey, after I open the link, I want to start repeat and I want to go over the LinkedIn URLs. Later, we will also add some limitations that it only can do, for example, 10 or 20 or 30 a day. But for now, we will just get it working and after we can put in the limitations. So now I have opened the link, go over this table, and you can automatically also add new URLs to this table from a different TaskBot. And then what we will do is we will open the link from the table LinkedIn URL. So now actually what will happen is every time this loops, it will loop through this table and it will open the new link. So the first link it will open is this link. I will also copy it and manually open it. I think I'm already inside, but just let's see. Yes, and the next thing I want to do is to send a connection request because I know this is a very targeted person I'm interested to reach out to. So to send this person a connection request, what we need to do is we have to tap on more and we have to tap on connect. So first, let's find the selector for more. The first thing you should do is to open the browser console. If you tap Control Shift and it's G, then you open this console. And this is really important. I will open it to the side. I think you can also open it from here, but I'm actually not 100% sure. Or I think you can also, like, the easiest way is to like press like right and press inspect. So yeah, that's actually the easiest way. So now what I want to do is I want to find the CSS selector for this button. That's actually the only thing I want to do right now. So I want to find the selector. Like for now, to have a selector, we have like the names of the selectors, we have different classes, and we have values of the selectors. And every element has his unique selector. And this is quite an interesting thing to learn, but once you get it, it's so super easy. So I'm not going to go super deep into the selectors. I will just tell you my way of working. And because we will need quite some selectors to do this automation, I hope it can broaden your knowledge. But I highly recommend you to watch the ZeroWork selector crash course. It's a really good course. But for now, what I actually do is I usually open like a notepad. Like you see, I usually have like many things inside. I will just open a new one. And for this selector, I see if we have like the button with an action label, more actions. I think this is very unique. I don't think there are more selectors like this. So this is actually the selector now. And now to check it, what you can do is you can write documents dot query selector all, and then you can paste the selector inside. Now we see still we have two things. So here is one and here is one. I want the second one. So this selector is not unique enough. So I also want to add something more. I also see there is an ID here. I just want to check if this one also has that ID. Profile overview. It seems it also has it. Now we're looking for something unique, that I can differentiate this selector with this selector. It's a bit an art, it's a bit tricky. It looks like it also has like, it looks like a very similar selector. I'm going to go a bit higher. Maybe I can, like, if I have, like, for example, I think the chance is really small that it also has the same like this. So I want to, let me maybe go a bit higher. You can always go higher and higher and higher. So maybe I want to check this the section with the data member ID. So if I go again and I type section, I still have two. So probably it's not a good one. Now I have one. Okay, so now I have the right one. The space is a loose match. So I say, before this selector, this should be a selector with this, and now I have like a unique match. And also because I don't have any strange numbers inside, I think this is a quite robust selector, and this will work quite a lot of times. So I have the selector. I will now go and copy it. Now I will go back to the TaskBot agent, and I will say, like, after you open the link, I want to check if this button is here. If this button is here, if I find it, then I want to tap it, because maybe whenever we are also connected, I am not now 100% sure if this button always will be present. I just opened one profile. This we will see in the future. It can be that this is always present, and that is like a bit too much to put it, but better be safe than sorry. So I check the web element, I find it, I click it. So now I will also do this manually. And then I want to check for the connect button. If I find the connect button, I also want to press it. So I just tap more. Like, an interesting thing now is, because when I tap something, this goes away, you can do the right mouse click and also press inspect. Let me see, or like press the right mouse knob and then go to here. It's a bit tricky because when I press it, it goes away. So I actually want to try to find it. So it's in here. Okay, so it still shows it. So it's a bit tricky here. So let me open it again. Okay, so now I can see it. So the one we need is this one. I will also, it's a bit tricky. Okay, so this one it is. So invite Olivier von Wolf to connect. So I probably think this is a really good selector already. So I want to try div pop pop. So now I already have two again, but I actually want to make it a loose match because the name will always be different. So I will just remove this. So two connects. Now I still have two. One is here and one is here. It's really interesting how this works. But now again, the same like we did just, we want to like differentiate it. So so maybe even this also is still in this section. So what we can do is we can copy this section, we can paste it in here. And now you see, now we have one. So now probably this one is the right one. It can be a bit complex, but I really recommend you to watch the selector course. I will also make more videos in detailed how to find the right select. But now you see, now we have like a unique selector for this connect button. So now I can also check for it, because if we already will be connected, this selector may not be present. So I only want to click it if it's present. So I also say check web element. If I found it, I want to click it. Okay, and now actually we may or we not have already like an automation that will like automatically connect with people. The only thing I'm not sure about is that it always works with the more buttons. So I just will open like 3-4 different URLs to check if it's always the same. Because maybe sometimes the connect button is already immediately present, and it's a bit important to know all the different possibilities of profiles. So I see it's all loading a bit slowly. So here also we have the more button, and now I can also check if the selectors are the same, but it looks like they are. I think it's a bit, you see, so the selector is the same for this profile. Let's just check maybe a profile a bit further down. Pop. Okay, so they all have the more button and probably also all the connect button. But I do have the feeling somewhere that if you have like a person that is more close to you, that you can have the connect button instantly. Just let me open someone like this. Okay, it's also with the more button. I will just type a random name, like a second one, like here. Connect if you know each other. But here is also the more button, and here is also the connect. So probably this will still work, but I want to check it over here. So if you also press the arrow up, you can go back to your history. So now I press my arrow up and I have the last thing I asked, but I press the arrow up. So pop more actions. I also find one. I find this one. And also to connect, I find one and I find this one, and this is probably this one, you see? So it looks very, very robust. It looks very nicely. Now, if I already sent the connection request, so to test, I will now like send the connection request. Then maybe this is also add a note to your invitation. So if we see this one, I actually want to press now send without a note. And it's just like a label sent without a note. So this will probably be very unique, but sent without a note, like we see. It can be if your LinkedIn is in a different language, that the selectors also have a different language, and then you have to check for yourself. But for now, it's all in English. So I think most of us will have it in English. So now I want to check, is this button present? If this button is present, found, you should click the button, send without a note, pop. Let me see where I was. I was over here. And when I click this button, it waits a bit and then it sends the connection request. So this is very interesting. I also want to check if it's the same with another profile, if it's also, but it probably will. So yeah, this is actually the most important skill to learn in doing browser automation, like really creating the right selectors. If you can create the right selectors, you can automate anything very, very easily. So also if I click connect, yes, it asks exactly the same. So this is actually very nice. In this short amount of time, we've created an automation that will loop through the LinkedIn profiles. It will find for the connect button, and it will send a connection request. And it will also only do that if we are not connected yet. Because if I guess, like if I go back to this previous person where I sent it the connection request to, if I still find him. Ah, yes, it was here. Pop. It's a bit slowly today, but let us see. So this person I send the connection request to. If I now try to find this one to connect, you see I don't find anything. Because if I press now, I have this not anymore, this to connect button. So this TaskBot will say, like, it will go to the profile and it will not find the button to connect. So it will skip it and it will go to the next one. So this is done. What we can do now is we can like scrape some more data. We can say like, okay, we if we send the connection request, we also want to scrape a bit of data because later on we can then use that to, for example, like use AI to send them a personalized message. And this can be very, very, very powerful. So what we will do is we will just look for some selectors on the profile and save the data into our table just to make this automation more powerful. So I will, for example, just go to one of my lists. I will open the URL. Okay, it's opened. So just for the sake, I will also do the automation. So I will send the connection request like we would do it, send without notes. Pop, so it's sent. And now we want to start scraping, for example, the title, the tag, the title, maybe also the about page, and maybe also some, yes, some experience. Like I just want to do a couple. I just want to try to see to do a couple, but just to make you guys aware of how you can approach something like this. So for example, we already have the name. We normally also already have the company. So we want to scrape, for example, the tagline. I will just check it. And now I have like a div here, data generated suggestion. I'm always trying to think logically, like also like, could there be many more elements with this class? I would just want to try this one. It looks quite normal. So it was a div pop with this one. And look, I'll only find one. And this is this one. So it looks quite nice. I will, for example, now take this one. We do still have to check with other profiles because I'm not right now. I'm not 100% sure if this will work for every profile. But let's again. So after we click the button, we also saw it took some time to connect. So I will also do this to like 3 seconds till like 5 seconds, and then I first still want to check. And I want to time out, for example, to be 5 seconds. So it will check for 5 seconds. If it finds it, it will immediately continue. If it not finds, it will stop. So if we found it, I want to save it. So you can just say save web elements and then put the selector here, save to. I want to create a new column and I want to name it, for example, I will tag line, and I want to put this in the end. So the tagline, and I'm going to save this selector to LinkedIn URLs tagline, and I want to connect it. So let's go. Now I also want to check. The reason why I also check it is I'm not sure everybody has a tagline. The next thing I want to scrape is the about section. So I can already see here if it's like all the way inside, it ends on townships. So it's actually, I'm now not 100% sure if I needed to the see more button to see all the text in the selector. So let's load it again. The video is still being recorded. Pop. Okay, so I will go to the about section. So here is this pen, and we see it's actually completely inside already without needing to open it. So it's this pen we want to scrape, and it's inside this div, which is inside this div, which is inside here, so which is inside here, which is inside which is not inside, but which is inside this section. So I feel like, because there are a lot of like very strange things, I want to go from, let me go back to this one. So I write now in the span. Let's maybe go like, which is a div. I don't really see anything too specific. A div data generated should just a target. Maybe this is something. Let's see. Take like a div with this one, with this class. There are also many spans in here. So I want to say it's like the first span inside the div next to that. So I want to say like div, and then like div, and then I want to say it's like the span that is the first one, the first child of the previous div. I also already want to see like what this is giving. I only have like one span, and this is the correct one, so I did a great job. I also always try to see if I can simplify it. Like, for example, maybe I can like do this away, but I think this will not work. Actually, it does. Okay. So, I try now to remove some things inside to make it like quite simple. I think this is a nice selector. It's not too long, and we have the complete span. And I just want to take this selector now, and I can like save web element, this selector. Maybe I also first want to check for the element if it exists, because maybe they don't have an about page and this selector does not exist. So let me complete it like this. Pop. So now we save also the about page. So I also still have to create like an about column. About. Pop. I will also scrape it to the end. I will scrape this text to the about. Okay, so this is nice. Maybe let's do one more thing. What would be also interesting, we have many things. Maybe the amount of followers. It's also nice, maybe you can like make a message like, hey, I saw you have so many followers, but that's why I think this is an interesting thing for you. So this is the last thing, but like anything, if you wanted to scrape all the posts or the whole experience or the education or the skills, it's literally the same way, just finding the unique selector, checking it for different profiles, and yeah, it's actually just like that. So this span, okay, so let's go again. So we end with the span. It's inside a P, and it's also the first. So I will just already start with this. I can just copy it from here. I'm looking now for something like followers or like yeah, container stack PVS header. Yeah, I think this might be a good one, like the name they use. So I want to, maybe I can use the whole one. So let's say div. Oh, okay. Let's see how the selector is doing. We find 3, so it's not unique enough. Find one here, and one here. So we need a more specific selector. Maybe we can also use like, because these are like literally like all words, so I think it will always be the same. And that would probably make it also a lot shorter. And I also want to remove this one, because now we already put the PVS header inside. It's just trying and really like it becomes easier and easier. Now I made a mistake. I think I see it's here. I think it's class equals pop like this maybe. No, it's not like this. Let me see what I did wrong. Okay, this. Okay, I still have 3. So this is a bit more interesting one, but it's also beautiful for you to see how I will go about it. So now I'm doing my best to find a selector, but still there are like other things popping through. So we have this one, and we have 2 like somewhere down below. So if I find now one like section like I did previously, I probably will eliminate this too. I always like it's a bit my way of working, but I also could go for this selector because this is the first one. But then maybe if this is not present, it would say something like this. I always like to just have like one result left. It's a bit my way of working. But let me see. So maybe if we let's just go to here and let's go a bit to the top, like see if we like here we have, for example, a section profile card break reports. I think this is a nice section, so let's try to add like this section, pop section. And was it the class? I actually don't remember. Yes, class equals pop. Oh, I forgot the quotes, and now I close it. Wow, I still have 3. Really interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Let me also see. Okay, so it's somewhere to do with this. So now I have to find a way to differentiate this one with this one, especially because it's also like the amount of followers. So I also can have like a bigger section that I can find that like goes on the profile, for example. Let me see. So this will not be confident. This also not. Main. So this is actually a good one. So I will try to add the main because then I cannot have anything of the, and I can also delete this one and replace it just with main. Look, and now I have 1. Okay. And this is the good one. So this is actually the main section, and because these other selectors were not in the main, I don't like get them back now, and I do get them back now. So I can just copy this selector, pop, and I can paste it, and I can first also check for it. Check for this selector, if it's available, if it's found, we can save it. And we also still have to the LinkedIn URL. So followers, I will just call this pop and save it to the followers. Perfect. Okay. One thing I also forgot, which is super important, we also want to note down like who we started to follow. So for example, here we click the button, send without a note. So I also want to like update it towards the table that we can later see like, okay, who we sent a connection request to, and later we can also check, for example, who accepted it. So I will just call it connection sent. I will, for example, put it here. I want to update this data to true, for example, if I press this button. So table, oh no, sorry, it's here, like connection sent, and I will set it to true. Save. I will just put this inside. Blop, blop. Okay, so this is done now. I think it looks quite alright, but of course we still have to test it to know if it's working properly and if there's not any bugs yet. I do also want to add now the logic to limit this, because we don't want our LinkedIn accounts to be blocked, and LinkedIn has some very harsh limits about how many connection requests we can send. So how I actually will solve this is by adding a limitation and saying, for example, I should only send about like 20 connection requests a day. So I want to add like a counter. And every time I will send a connection request, I will add the counter, and I will add 1 to the counter. So for example, I will just name it like counter. And I also will say the start repeat, it will continue at latest iteration. So that means if it goes once to the table and then it does, for example, 20, it stops. The next time we will activate the TaskBot, it will start from 21. So that way we always have like the new ones. And what I now will do is, for example, every time it loops through one, because I also don't want to, it's not like really like the connections I send the limitation, but it's the profiles I go through. So for example, after it starts the repeat, let's for example do it here. I want to do a number operations, and I want to add 1 to the counter. counter pop. And also, of course, when I start the automation, I want to set the counter to 0. So I set the counter to 0 when I start the automation. And so every time I loop, the counter becomes 1 extra. So the thing I want to do, which is very important, is whenever the counter hits 20, for example, I want to go out of the loop. So I want to start a condition and I want to say like, hey, this variable counter, is this variable counter more than 20? So I want to go again here. So I want to set the condition. If it's, or let's do it this. If it's smaller or equal to 20, then we can continue. So if it's smaller or equal to 20, we can continue. And if it's bigger than 20, then we want to stop. So I say if it's bigger than 20, then we want to do like a break repeat. Break repeat means it will stop the interaction. And so maybe we can also edit, like maybe if I just say like limit, so we can edit in over here. I will compare it to the limit. So you can decide for yourself how much risk you want to take. I don't recommend going more than 20 a day. I will now say to 20. And now it actually looks quite all right. So now I'm going to run this automation and to see how it goes, what it does, and if it works. And later it can also be that we will do the bug reports. So I want to make it a bit nicer. So I now want to also name it connection sender, for example. I will run it and I will fast forward it a bit to then do the debugging. So I will just run it. You see here already we have an error. I forgot to put it inside. Pop. Okay, so I will try to run it again. Now it goes. It updates the value to 0. Maybe one run we can watch together what will happen. So it will open just the normal LinkedIn page. Now it's over here. It will open the page. It will wait for a couple seconds and then it will start to repeat. And because I didn't put anything inside now, it will start from the first. So it's done this. It waits a couple seconds and now it goes to the URL of the first profile. It starts the condition. So now this is 0. Now this is 1. This is less or equal than 20. It will open. So it's opened the link. And now, oh, it already went to the next one. So let's see what's happening here. Okay, so what is happening here? It opens the link and it checks for this URL, but because it's only checking for like 1.5 seconds, it doesn't see it and it stops. So I do have to make this a bit bigger. So this is the amount it will check. So it opens the page and then I want to say like, hey, it can even wait like quite some time. Let's say maybe 15 seconds. And I also know when this is loaded, probably all the other things will also be loaded. So I don't have to, I maybe, because here it clicks buttons, I maybe can also put this ones a bit higher, like 3. Also, you want the automation to be slow. This is also something I want to do later because like here, for example, I now say 3 seconds, but actually I want to do it between like 3 and 15 seconds because a natural human will not like go page sending connection request. Like it will wait sometimes 5 seconds, it will wait 7 seconds. It's very important to randomize the flows a lot. So now I want to try again. But this is now like the final step that we have to take is to really like debug and to make it better and better and better and improve our flow. Because we only made like a first version. So it again will do the same. It will open the link. It will set the thing to 0. So now it's again starting from 0. It opens the first link. And now it will wait around 15 seconds. Let me see. So now it just opened the link. And now it says was found. So now you see it clicked it automatically, it sent it and it sent it the connection. So now it sends the connection request and now it saved this web element, it saved the followers. It's also save element, struggling you, it saves the text, and it's also saved the title. So it looks like all the selectors are working, and also the connection request is sent. So I think we have quite a nice connection. So this is the second one. It also sent the connection, the invitation, and it goes to the next one. So our automation is working quite well. I was not expecting this from the first run, the second run. It also goes to here. It sends, it clicks on connect. Here it didn't click on connect, so this is very interesting. This is the next one. It may be because it was not on my screen. Here it did, so maybe not. Okay, it worked here. If that would be the case, that it did not send a connection request at one time because it was not on the screen, I could also add like a bit a way to scroll down a bit. Let me see. This is also a very low one. Oh no, this is also working. Maybe it did work. I was not sure, but it looks like these are all working. And it's sending out the connection requests, even if they have like multiple buttons. So it's all working. Okay, I will just close this flow now, and I want to check a bit how it's going. So here we can see this is the connection request it sends, and it scraped everything. So it scraped the whole about section, the long about section. It scraped the tagline. It says like, hey, we send a connection request. An interesting thing is it didn't work for this person. So we can also always have a look what happened with our scraper and now try to debug it. So I want to first open this profile. It can be that this person maybe have it set out that it's not allowed to send him connections. But first let's check it's manually. So I open this profile. I now click on more, and you see it doesn't have like a connect button. So because I cannot set the connection, he probably has a security setting on, like people I don't know or people I don't have any common connections with should not be able to send me a connection request. So that's the reason why this one didn't went through. This also proves our automation is working quite seamlessly and it's working quite well. So this one also, for example, does not have an about section. I also want to check it. So this is, no, I opened the company. So we can also check why did this happened. It's loading. And like we can see, he doesn't have an about section. So that's the reason why we didn't scrape it. So it looks like it's working very nice. That's also why we have these things. What I also could do, especially with the safe web element, that if I don't find like this one, it still checks for the other ones. So if it doesn't have a tagline, it should not stop. It should look for the about page. If it doesn't have the about page, it should look for the page. This TaskBot is ready now. I will share it. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you have any comments or any feedback about it. I'm very grateful you watch this, and if you have any recommendations. I do love to go further with this, so maybe next time create an automation that will check who accepts the connection requests and also go further from that, or if you have any special request. Thank you so much, and I wish you great. Bye.